Hi everybody, we're back with our penultimate team of the day, Team Max Connect. So Rajsekhar and Shiva are here, and over to you both.
Thank you, guys. I'm just sharing my screen right now. Just let me know when you see my screen, yeah? Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we are a fintech startup based out of Hyderabad, and we would like to thank the entire Sahamati team for giving us this opportunity. And we'd like to start off by telling what is the use case we are trying to build. From the first 2 weeks of the session, we actually contemplated a lot in what is the right use case, which will actually help the people who really need help from the AA system. And we did a lot of surveys and research, and we came up with this. So Manrega is a very large program which Government of India does, and it's a welfare program. There are a little over 282 million people registered as part of active workers with Manrega, and currently 130 million have been working till July 2020. Fairly large budgets from the state and central level, little over 1 lakh crores, which has been budgeted. When we looked at this program, the spread of the program is amazing. It's all over the country. It spreads across 696 districts, 7,777 blocks, over 270,000 gram panchayats. But the problem is, if you look at the payment side of this, where a daily wage worker, if they work from the 1st of the month to 15th of the month, they actually get paid from T10 to T20. On some days, it is more than T22. So we felt like if there can be something which can be done for them, and how can we quickly do it, given that we have an AA ecosystem to look at, we thought that will be a very good use case for us. So I'm going to just quickly run through a persona. So this is Kavita Devi. She's in Bihar. And every time you register with the first time you register with the Manrega program, you are given a job card. So this is a typical job card what Kavita Devi would get. And there is a job card number. Now what we're looking at is, once she's got the job card number and she's done a work, let's say this is a work order which she's performed. Now I highlighted a couple of things over here for you. The date from which she worked on, from 10th of March to 25th of March, that's the date she's actually worked. And she's worked for 16 days at 177 rupees per day, giving her a total revenue of 2,832 rupees. But if you look at the right side, and this is coming straight from Manrega website, if you look at the right side, the date when it's credited to her account is on the 14th of April. For the total man days of 16 days. So that was done in March. But if you look at now what happened, from let's say 26th of June till 10th of July, Kavita Devi has worked for a PMAY construction program, which is construction of a rural project in that area. And she's also worked for 16 days. Her payment is again 194 rupees per day, leading to 3,104 rupees. But that has not been paid yet. So we clearly know there's a lag in payment. And Aryaman, if you quickly play the video, I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll tell you what is the app we have built and how can that help Kavita get the funding in terms of... if you can play the video, Aryaman, I'll run through the...
I just needed you to stop the screen sharing, but now the video will load in a second.
So what we are doing is we have created an app here, and multiple languages. They can select whatever language they want. For the use case, I'll show it in English. Now what happens here is, once Kavita Devi logs in, she can actually enter her, I'm just waiting for it to come up. She can enter her Manrega job card number, right? And that's the number which she's got. Once she enters the job card number, she enters her name. Then we send an OTP from Manrega directly to a mobile number to identify that, yes, she's the person who's registered with Manrega with the job card. The second thing we're doing is asking her to enter a mobile number. That mobile number will help us authenticate that she's got a bank account which is active. And once that is done, we actually guide her and help her through running through a loan process. Here we are telling her to register with an account aggregator, give us consent to share the information with a list of lenders, then set up an auto repayment option, and then also monitor her account. Once she gives us that consent, that option, we actually route her to my One Money, which is our preferred account aggregator. She would then go through the process of registering with One Money as an account aggregator. And that's the typical steps which we've all seen all throughout the sessions on how do you normally register. So she gets the registration done. Now, once the registration is done, typically it goes to the point where she gives us the consent. I'm just waiting for the registration to complete. But this is again, she is somebody who's working as a daily wager. So we have a distribution channel on. I'll explain that later. How do we reach out to them and how do we assist them in actually getting this done? So we have another application which you can use for that. Now here she's registered and she's got a VUA address, which is a handle for One Money. And then she would link her accounts. Now, typically here she would link her Manrega account as well, but known that Manrega is not as part of one of the FIPs today, we are saying, okay, fine, you register your bank account, and here is the data we are actually simulating. It's mock data from Manrega. Once she's done the consent and she's given us access, there are two things we are checking in the bank account, right? From the transactional standpoint, that she's got previous payments of direct debits of PFMS in her account. So we know that she's actually worked through the Manrega program and she's got, bank statement entries for that. The second thing we're also checking is from Manrega's website today, but tomorrow if the API is available, we can check when is a prospective payment which is going to come through in the next cycle, which is typically 15 days cycle. She's registering, she got the consent, and once the consent is given, we take her back to our dashboard. We'll just wait for that to happen here. Yeah. Once she's back on our dashboard, we've actually show her the account which she's got, which is the bank account with UCO Bank. Yeah. So here she's linked a bank account, so we know how much is the current active balance in the bank account. And if the APIs are available, we would also link with Manrega, which is calling for a job card number, an FTO number, which is a fund transfer number, which tells us how many days she's worked for and what is the amount due. Now, one thing really interesting here is this payment is coming from Government of India. So it's technically a cash flow which she's getting into her bank account in future. Now, once that is there, we take her consent to share the information, and we're sharing the information with enabling partners. It can be OKIN, it can be other partners who are willing to lend for a person of this size, and we would receive offer letters back from the lenders. Now, these lenders can be SBI, ICICI, anybody. And once the lender gives us a quote in terms of what the offering is, we would then offer that to Kavita Devi. Now, here it is a very simple loan. It's a straightforward loan. For the receivables of 3,100 rupees, she would probably get an LTV of 90%, and that would be for a 15-day period. Once that is done, we are taking a auto repayment option with her, where she's actually providing us a UPI handle. If it's not there, we'll help her set it up. But this is the critical part of the collections flow, where we are telling the lenders, not just you're not only funding it, but once you fund it, we monitor the account because we get the consent, and then we can run through the recollection, collection part as well. And that would be done very securely for the lender. So we're trying to reduce the delinquencies, so to speak. But the thing which we thought was, how do we get credit to somebody who's not part of the ecosystem today? But this use case would help them come into the system first, access the credit based on their flows today, and then once the profiles are created, they can only work for 100 to 150 days as per Manrega, but the rest of the 200 days they would be working, we could still create a profile and give them access to it. They can set up a corner shop or things like that, where they would still get access to it. Yeah.
Awesome, Shiva. 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm open to questions, guys.
Shiva, I would like to applaud your presentation, your very sharp focus on this particular use case. It was outstanding, frankly.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
I'm sure there are some hidden facts around how some of these things work that we're not aware of. Like, I don't know whether banks who are bring participants in this level amount of micro short-term credits, and I assume you've worked through that, which is great.
Absolutely.
But giving this loan for people for this short term on a recurring basis based on the data, and you've figured a way out that was very, very powerful. I do want to applaud your use case.
Sir, I'll tell you one thing, sir. I mean, from the use cases we have, the stories we've heard from people, from the surveys we have done, a person who's aged 55, one male 55-year-old, he's actually walked 4 kilometers from his village to go to the nearest bank just to find out when he's getting the receivables. And that was only 600 rupees. So the problem is not that, they have worked for 15 days. The problem is they don't even know when to receive or when they would get that money into the system. So we're solving technically two issues here. One, helping them to get credit, and two, basically helping them, in terms of the cash flows. Other important data point we got is most of the borrowings they are doing today at a very high level interest. that borrowings are going towards their medical expenses. I mean, 40% they said very clearly are towards medical expenses. So we feel once they are part of the system, there are solutions which we can offer at a low cost, out of pocket medical expenses. If I can clearly point at that.
Okay, and did you also say that you have their consent so that the moment that the Manrega payment hits their account, the notification comes to the AA system
Absolutely.
and you will activate the debit to their account and the credit
Absolutely.
to the lender?
Absolutely.
That
We want.
process is part of your flow?
Yes, absolutely, sir. So they give us consent and we monitor the account till that point where the credit comes from PFMS, which is Government of India. So for the lender, basically they know that their payments are basically secured against the payments from Government of India. So the underwriting can be much simpler. We're not saying we're going to underwrite anything. The loan books are not ours, but we are aggregating information where we're sending it to the lenders community so that they can take a better decision on the information we send them.
And your original premise that the data is clear on the Manrega website per individual,
Yes.
how much they are owed.
Yeah.
That's clear, and that is often very long overdue
Right.
in some cases, right? So,
Yes, absolutely.
okay, good.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
I've spoken to government of Telangana as well at a very low level, at Gram Panchayat level, and the feedback is same. They all say it's like, yes, there is delays in it, but if you can really come up with an application which can help them, fantastic.
2 minutes for comments and questions.
Yeah, Shiva, so a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Shiva, on these parts that you presented, right?
Yeah.
What's the completeness level of these parts, right?
Yeah.
Essentially, where would you put it? 70, 80, 90%? Are those parts complete?
Yeah.
And
We're tightly, sorry, go on.
no, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we built the app in-house. Everything is in-house, and we have integrated with One Money as a platform, both from One Money and Money One standpoint. Again, I've been part of the initial Oaken conversations thanks to the team of iSpirit. I've been part of it and understanding how the LSP model works and what really happens on the Oaken side. We would really like to see where we can do sandbox testing from an Oaken standpoint, if that's a possibility. But it's again flipping the switch from sandbox to production. For us, the APK callbacks are there, and it's a very simple flow. There's not a lot of algorithms or things under the carpet are happening, but it's not like there's a meat on the bone. So things are there, and we can go live in the next 30 days. That shouldn't be an issue for us.
Second thing you suggested that Shiva, in this distribution is going to be critical, right? Because the workflow that you showed basically for the lady or the man over there, it's not going to be easy, right? So how do you solve for workflow or distribution in this?
Can I just share my screen? Yeah, I'll just share my screen and I'll show you what the thought plans we have on workflow.
Yeah. And one more, if you can, while dealing with this is going to be a recurring loan which you would want.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Absolutely.
How do you solve for it?
Absolutely. So I'll just quickly run through. I mean, these are the different feedback and user stories we got. But I think distribution is right. That's the most important thing. So what we thought of is having an agent-based assistance through Gram Panchayats. Maybe 20, 30 Gram Panchayats have one contact from MaxPay who would be an agent who would help them grow. We also have a Kirana Tech application, which is really helpful for people to discover stores nearby. And the Kirana Tech application would also run like an agent for MaxPay as a platform. The other thing is, again, self-service platform where they download on their own and they actually start using the app, for which we have tried to make it as user-friendly as possible in their local language. So vernacularity is not an issue. We are also working on a USSD model, which is a little complicated given the consent architecture, but we believe that there can be something which can come out of that. So distribution is the key. We totally understand that, but by having partnerships and from a business correspondence model, I think we can still get there. And the monitoring and the collections is the key. Yeah. I would also like to just highlight this is the flow, and there are other things which we have in pipeline, right? So we can do Insta loans for daily workers. We can do sachet-based financing. Same thing can be extended to an SME from a GST invoicing standpoint. So these things are in pipeline. So it's going to be a suite of products both for individuals and SMEs. We've been powered by Google, and I've had really good conversations with Google about the whole platform, and they're really happy to, from a technology standpoint, back us in whatever is required. So that's the core architecture we have right now.
And to make it recurring loan, you will again have the BC network on it.
Yes, correct. So once the monitoring is done, the loan is closed, then we can send notifications back, and we would have visibility to what is the next level of payments done. Other thing we have done very cleverly is we went to Manrega and really understood where the job works are actually happening. I mean, these are contract works for roadways, afforestation, water conservation. So we figured out which state has what budget and what gram and district and block has work in progress right now, and we would like to focus on targeting them.
So we've crossed 13 minutes. We need to wrap it up. Judges, if you have anything, we can do a really short comment or question, but ideally we move to the next one.
I love what they're doing.
I think, yeah, pretty good one.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please show your appreciation. Shiva, Raj, I'm going to remove you from stage. Thank you. Great job. We'll be back in just 2 minutes with our next team, Backprop. Ashish and Abhijit, please be ready at the back end. I'll send you an invitation shortly. We'll take a quick break.